The brand new auto-reloading Rinocerante is an absolutely amazing tank, featuring solid mobility, decent DPM, and a double-shot auto-reloading mechanic that allows it to just be a fantastic and fun vehicle to mess around with. Overall, I'm currently sitting at around an 80% win rate with almost 3,700 damage for 50 games in the vehicle. However, I still think that the Tier 10 Swedish tech tree heavy, the Kranvagn, is still a better tank. The Kranvagn really hasn't changed at all since the latest big changes to how equipment worked in the game. See, Wargaming made it so now calibrated shells is massively buffed for the majority of vehicles in the game that run it. And you would think that, that's really going to affect the Kranvagn, because you know the Kranvag's all based off of its turret armor and not much else. Well, if you thought that, unfortunately, you would be wrong. The Kranvagn still features a nearly impervious turret, and if you are using this vehicle hull down, there is almost no Tier 10s or even Tier 10 tank destroyers that can reliably pen you. I'm going to be showcasing the replay I had in the Kranvagn yesterday from a stream, and you're going to see just what I'm talking about when I mean the Kranvagn is still ridiculously strong. I really don't know if there's any other Tier 10 that could have done what I did in this battle. I mean, you could say maybe the 57 heavy because it's got a better DPM clip and it's got the same damage output and it even has shell reload boost. But the thing you have to realize is that the Kranvagn not only features a 1200 damage clip, which is very dangerous, but it also has really, really stupid hull down capabilities, meaning that you really can't pen it hull down. I still think the Kranvagn is easily one of the strongest Tier 10s in the game, and I think a lot of people underrate it. It's not really talked about too much, so I'm going to be talking about it today, and we're going to be seeing just what it's able to do. I can definitely tell you that the mobility change to this vehicle, and when Wargaming buffed it to around 40 kilometers per hour with super speed boost and 34 base, definitely gave it a huge buff. So, we got the side of the YAG, and there you go. We got a 390 damage shell. However, we are unfortunately not able to get another shell out. Well, that's alright. We're going to aim it on the 183. Easy shell for 350 into his vehicle. We're going to aim in one more, and nice. Okay, so all of our shells low rolled, unfortunately, but we are still at 1,100 damage. That's a lot of damage for such a short burst of time. And this is where autoloaders do feel insane, is when you're able to get out damage way faster than you would have been able to in a single shot. If I was driving a single shot vehicle like a Chieftain Mark 6, I might have been sitting at 800 damage, but there's no way I would have gotten to 1200 out. And notice how just simply repositioning, I already have my clip reloaded again. And watch this, we have a 60 TP. We get 616 in the first shell, we get 1021 in the second, and we get another 386 in the third. That brought us from 1100 damage to 2500. And once again, 60 drives right in the cover. You cannot tell me that a single shot vehicle, even one like a 777 or 113 with close to 3000 DPM, would have been able to get out even 2 shells into the rear of that 60 TP. And again, it's just why autoloaders are so much better than single shot vehicles in so many situations. I've already got my full clip loaded again, which is perfect because we got the 100 right in front of us. And the best thing about the Kranvagn is because it's an auto reloader, if you're shooting it on single shot DPM, you actually have around 2,400, only putting you slightly less DPM than that of the average Tier 10 heavy like the VZ55 or even the E100. Now, unfortunately, our shell bounced the lower plate of the E100. That is the downside of having premium, or not premium, but standard APCR. It's just a downside. But the good news is that we haven't really bounced too much. We're at 3,300 damage now, and, well, again, you can see how bad the standard APCR is on this vehicle, so I'm just going to load gold, and we're going to get 1 gold shell and then 1 standard shell into the 100. We're going to back up. Dumping your third shell does give you the lowest DPM, so as of now, I'm going to make sure that I don't dump that final shell. To be fair, it's not like the Minnow, where you're losing a huge amount of effective DPM, but you are still losing like 200 DPM dumping that final shell, and I don't really want to lose too much of my DPM. I'm actually really surprised that E100 hit me there, but again, look at this. We have brought what was a full health E100 down to 395 health. Even when that E100 shoots me for 680, I can just shoot him back 2 times in a vehicle with way more mobility, way more armor. and I'll still win the trade. And that's why the Kron is so stupid. So right now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to reload my clip. And even though the C100 does pen me for another 650, we get 2 back into him, finishing off his vehicle. Then we're going to go poke this WZ, and I know for a fact that WZ is obviously a big threat. And even though he puts on reactive, it really doesn't matter. This is why I always say that reactive, sure, it's amazing, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really stop you from being capable. And this is why. I can just bait this WZ, and now that his reactive is worn off, there you go. I bait him. He fires a high explosive because he cannot pen my turret with a heat shell, and now we're just going to roll over here. We're going to get 1 shell into the WZ. I'm going to load in a heat shell. I'm going to slam another heat shell right into his upper plate, and now the WZ is 103 health. So, yeah, didn't go too well for that WZ there. And I should mention that that WZ is one of the top players on the NA server, who even averages 4K in some of his vehicles. But at the end of the day, he played really poorly, if you want my opinion, against the Kron. He should have not rushed me. He should have waited for me to make a misplay, waited to use his reactive when he had a shell on my hull, because he technically could have 2-shot me, but he allowed me to use my tank's advantages. And just like this, we can slam a shell right into his hull and finish him off. And even if that shell didn't clear him, we still had 2 more, obviously, to use if we needed to. This is why the Kron is such a good vehicle. Because in situations like this, I really can't name other vehicles that would have been able to not only hold the way I did, but get out damage and just nuke the, entire game. 6,217 damage dealt. We got an ace, and by the way, this wasn't even that long of a battle. It was only about a 3.5-minute game. The Kron does not need DPM to deal damage, and this is what I keep telling people. It's the same argument over and over. This guy's in a WZ-113 GFT with 30 or just around 3k DPM, and I still got out more damage. It doesn't matter how much DPM you have. It matters how much damage you are able to actually use in the battle. In a Kron, I can comfortably sit hull down in front of whatever it is and unload my shells, and I can guaranteed do whatever that damage is. There's no way you can tell me that an Object 140 or a Leopard 1 are going to sit in front of an enemy team and start dumping out shells over and over. I mean, yes, there are certain times when you have the ability to get behind an enemy flank and farm them, but even then, once the enemy starts turning around and looking at you, you can't just sit there and stare at them. It's not possible. But with a Kron, it is. And that's why the Kron's effective DPM is actually quite high. Because you don't need to worry about people penning you. You just get hull down, and you get the job done. So now that we've talked about it, let's actually get into a live battle. As I always say, I like to have at least one live battle in my videos, because replays always show a bit of an unrealistic side of a tank. A replay is kind of a cherry-picked battle. So now let's actually head into a normal game where we showcase the Kron. We can see that our AMX-50B is making his way up top towards base A, which in my personal opinion is a really big misplay. We can see that the TVP was in base C, and we're just going to climb up this hill here, and we'll see what is here. The enemy team does have some nasties. TVP is going to try and leave. We got the IS-4 up here. But right now, I'm going to just get to the side of the IS-4, and oof, dude gets absolutely chunked. Alright, well, we got the Foch, and the Foch is going to look at my teammate. So, there you go. We got 1 shell into the Foch. 50B is going to nuke him. Hopefully, we were able to save our 50B, and yes, indeed, we were. If we hadn't hit that shell on the 50B, that would have required our 50B to get another shell out. And he would have had to reload the entire clip to do that, which obviously would not have been very optimal. So, we've already nuked the TVP. We've already helped clear the Foch, and we are reloading our clip. I mean, this is why the Kron is so stupid, because I can comfortably sit here, and there's nothing this E4 can do to me. Yep, there you go. Literally nothing the E4 can do to me. Nothing the Kron, or the Kron actually might be able to do something to me. He was sitting right over here. However, it looks like he moved, so let's aim it on the IS-4 turret. There you go, easy stuff. Now we got the E4 hatch. Unfortunately, it misses just by a little bit. However, it's not that big of a deal. We're just going to aim it on the lower plate of the E4. I'm just going to keep him there, and we'll reload very briefly. And, well, if he's going to move up, we'll just aim it on the side of his vehicle, possibly. There you go. 1,405, and we'll get a second shell into the Kron. There you go. That's 800 damage ripped out very quickly. 2,200 damage to my title. And now we're just going to maneuver over to the 5A, and I'm going to get blocked by my M60 a little bit, but not too big of a deal. There you go. Another 400 damage shot. Pretty good stuff. M60, how do you bounce the rear of a 5A? Like, I'm not even mad because we're going to win. I just, like, I just want to know how you bounce the rear of a 5A. That's all I want to know. And then you bounce the flat side of him, bruh. Alright, well, I'm going to move over here. And let's see. Come on, VK, poke me. Come on, do it. Yes. Alright. And we get one tracking shell into his tank. And there you go. 2 shells into the VK. Just like that, 3,526 damage dealt. Once again, auto reloaders are stupid dangerous. And this is why. Because I can just dump my clip. And sure, I might not have as much DPM as a 113 or a 777 in this game, but did it matter? No. I easily sat hull down. It was the simplest battle of my life. I didn't stress at all, and I got a win with over 3k damage, and that's all I look for when driving the Kron. This is why the tank is so good, and why I will always think it is one of the best tier 10s in the game. Until Wargaming nerfs a turret on this tank, until Wargaming nerfs the accuracy, which is more than plenty at 0.28 with Refined, it is always going to be an incredible tank. My average damage in the vehicle is pretty alright at 3,600, and look at the win rate, 91% for 20 games. I mean, that's insane. You just can't deal with a Kron. I love the Rhino, but at the end of the day, the Rhino lacks that turret armor that the Kron features, and I would much rather go up against a Rhino than a Kron in a hull down fight. This tank should still be used in comp, in my opinion. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.